Hey guys, hope you're well. I can't believe this year is almost done. It's 13th of December. Absolutely crazy. Hey, just quick one too. I'm going to be away next week. I'm going to Hamilton Island and Hayman Island for just a week, just to get a bit of a break. So any questions, you guys can still obviously email me. I will have access to the email and be able to respond and update machine IDs and licenses and whatever else needs to be done. There just might be a slight delay of a few hours. Okay, so there is a new assembly updated. 13th of December is the date on it. And I've only done updates to the Modena Wick Trader strategy. So if you have watched the last two videos on the Modena Wick Trader strategy, you'll see that there's been some very powerful updates put in there. So we'll run through a few of them. You'll notice from the top down, you will see a new value over here. So when you look at the money management, you've obviously got an option to choose your daily stops and targets. Now these are going to stop almost to the tick on the value that you put in over here. Within a few dollars, it's going to respect those values. So if you use those, they're going to be very, very closely respected, as well as the drawdown. Now, we do have an option over here to use the positive and negative profit and loss condition. So if you have this selected, you can choose if there's any trades when the value is over a certain amount. So if you select this as, say, $200, there won't be any more positions if you're $200 in negative. If you set this as $1, then basically you almost guarantee that no extra positions will enter if the current profit and loss of the open positions is in the negative. I don't know if you can put a plus value there. I think you can actually. You know that if you put a positive value over here like that, it no entries will enter unless the profit of the current positions are more than $10. So it's not just a minus value that you can put there, it's also a plus value, just for interest sakes. Okay, so, and then we've also got this value over here. So exit positions when all of the current positions are, the open positions are at negative value. So you can set this to any value you want. I've been running this on 500. It's been pretty good. So if any open positions are hitting 500 negative, they will shut down. Now, this is a very cool one. I'm not sure if I had it on the last update, but what this does is if all your open positions have made $200 and your unrealized is sitting at 200, it will exit. So whatever value you put here, and it can be 2,000 or 10,000, whatever. So whatever value you put there, as soon as your unrealized profit and loss for any open positions that you have are at this value, those positions will also exit. So it'll exit whether you're at a loss or at a plus. So if you only want to use this value as an example, then obviously increase these values, to much higher values so that you don't, they don't come into effect, right? So you'll obviously increase those. I'm not sure, 20,000 is the maximum. So you don't have to use all three of them. You can choose to use one or two, as long as the other values are definitely out of range, basically. Okay. I'm pretty sure this account value works. So if you choose your trading account, also over here, when you're trading your trading account, you should be able to put the values in over here to select when your overall account stops trading. So that's if you have multiple strategies running, you can have the same value in there. So just make sure you have the exact same value. So if you're going to say use profit target and make it $2,000 and you're trading on your Sim 101 account as an example, then all your strategies that you've enabled that have got the account selected there and have got the tick there, every single strategy will stop trading when your account position is on 2,000. So that's pretty cool. Okay, let's go on. Retracement, delayed, that's all the same. Space out. This option here is to check for any open positions before exiting positions. So it's always going to hit their stops and targets. Okay, so I've done a good little update to this section for the stops and target management. So now you can choose your fixed targets on Wick, and it'll tell you over there what the description is. Okay, so you can choose that. You can choose individual or combined entries, and we discussed on the last video, what the individual combined means. If you select trailing stop, it's automatically going to push this to trailing. Now remember last time it got stuck there. So now we're able to actually adjust this again and make it back what we want. So we can't choose fixed target, fixed on wick and trailing, because as soon as you select trailing, they have to both be trailing. Okay, so remember that. So most of you guys are going to use the individual or combined entries with your individual combined entries with individual combined entries. So you're probably going to do that. Okay, so when you set those, you've got your values that you can put in there. Okay, start time, end times, all the same. Nothing's updated there. Account button width, Bollinger filter. This one I haven't touched it. That's the old one. Keltner Bollinger. Shadow trading. I haven't touched this one at all. Okay, so that's the same. So now we get into the trend analysis. This one also I haven't touched. So just continuing with that one. So there was a build up to trend analysis, and it's the same as before. That's fine. So again, just filtering the positions by where the trend analysis is. So that's one thing I wanted to clear up too. So these top filters over here. So the shadow, this specific one here, the shadow trading, the Bollinger, and yeah, so these two indicators over here work off this data series over here. Ticks to next baseline, baseline within ticks. So if you're using these two filters, that is the data series that those indicators are going to be attached to. Now, as soon as you come down over here to the trend analysis, you will see that this trend analysis has got another value here for the baseline. So you'll notice, like I showed you before, if you adjust this, it's going to adjust in the private field over there too. So you see it adjusted over there. So whatever value you use for this trend analysis is the same one that is going to be used for the SI indicator. So I've basically created a group of indicators over here that work off a single data series. So you're going to notice that when you change this is going to change. So you've got your trend analysis, you've got your SI indicator, and now you've got a shadow dot, so the shadow divergence indicator, and also a breakout volume indicator. So there's actually 4 indicators currently. So the breakout volume indicator, the shadow dot, and the SI indicator, and the trend analysis. All 4 of those are working off one single signal chart. So we'll look at that closely in a moment, what that looks like. Now, as you scroll down over here, okay, now some of you might be new to these indicators and working with them. So I'm going to make it as simple as possible. And even some of the older guys that have been, older guys, so some of the guys that have been here for a while will also, want a good refresher on some of these tools and may not even have explored all the settings of the tools. So what I've done over here is I've actually created some back-end descriptions. So as soon as you hover your mouse over it, it'll tell you what it is. So this one, we'll read it quickly. It says, turn this on to use shadow trading dots on the DTB bars chart as a directional filter. Yellow dots allow short-only trading. Cyan dots allow long-only trading. When off, the DTB bar shadow dots are ignored and other filters determine trade direction. Okay, so that's just telling you what filter that is. Now, if you go over here, use shadow dots for direction. It says, if enabled, trade direction is driven by the shadow trading dots, yellow versus cyan on the DTB bars. If disabled, direction is taken purely from the shadow V line. Positive values favor longs, negative values favor shorts. In both cases, you can still option negate entries using the V-line bands. So what this does, okay, if you disable this, okay, what will happen now is these values over here will determine the entries of where the trades enter. So it's very similar to this over here, where you got the plus and the minus values. You see the shadow trading, the normal shadow trading divergence that works off the other data series has also got these values in here, these plus and minus values. But this one's got slightly more because it exits at different levels. Whereas this one over here, it's only a band of where those trades can enter. And if I quickly bring up this indicator very quickly, you'll see here's the shadow trading indicator, and here's this band I was telling you about. You see it goes up to 10, 4, minus, minus. So what happens is when these bars are floating between these values, that's when they would enter trades. So if they go out of these values, then they won't. Then they won't enter position. So it's kind of a banding together the price. So there's the dots. You can see the yellow dots. There's the cyan dots. So basically what this is doing is it's saying only when there's cyan dots, it's only going to go long. When there's yellow dots, it's only going to go short. And there you'll see the breakout volume is also included over there. So back into the settings. Okay, so where were we? We were here. Okay, so shadow dots is where exactly we were. Okay, so there we go. That tells you that the bars, and now this it's also going to tell you over here. So this is going to say to you, defines the inner edge of the short only band on the negative side of the V line. This is usually the value closest to 0, for example, minus 0.128. So it's basically within that range is where trades are going to enter. Yeah, when the V line is below 0 and between this value and the short V line entry end, short entries are allowed, assuming dots and other filters agree. Okay, so it's basically giving you a nice description of what all these things do, which was lacking before because we never had a lot of description in the things over here. Okay, so that's the shadow dot indicator. So very simple. The shadow dots, it's only if you use it like we've got it over here, where we are using the indicator and we're using the dots for direction. So most people will be happy just with that. We just want to make sure that we're using the dots because those are the arrows on the shadow trading. The dots and arrows are the exact same thing. Now the swing sensitivity bars. So we have always had this setting as 30 on our shadow trading indicator. Now, if you have this value as a lower value, it's going to paint more dots and more arrows. So both the shadow trading indicator and the shadow trading divergence indicator have this setting. On the shadow trading indicator, it's called look back bars. And on this indicator, it's called swing sensitivity bars. I should actually name them the same thing, which I'll get to down the track. But this also now tells you that this controls the sensitivity of the shadow trading dots and the swings in price. So it's basically looking back over a longer period to find those swings in price. And according to those swings in price and the sensitivity that it is set at, those arrows are going to appear fewer or more depending on this setting. And we'll look at that very quickly actually. So here's this chart over here, right? So you'll see here's the 40-40. Now look at where these dots are, which are the arrows basically. Okay, look at those dots. Now if we go into the indicator settings, you will see that if I had to adjust this value over here on the shadow trading divergence, if I had to change this value to 30, so I'm gonna adjust that to 30, off the screen, and then just watch those dots and you'll see what happens. You see, there's more dots all of a sudden. See, so you can, this is basically the sensitivity. If I make that 10, you'll see there's even more dots. So that's like picking up literally all the swings. Now, obviously, when you do this, there's going to be a lot more false flags, right? So you can't have a very low setting on this because basically, I mean, even though these dots will paint immediately after a bar close, which could be absolutely incredible for scalping, you might be caught out a few times, as you can see, right? So you might enter a short there and then think, oh shit, I'm going to enter a short there, enter a short there. Yes, it will work, but it's not obviously ideal, right? So that was a 10. Now you'll see if I change this to a 50, it's going to reduce those dots and also the divergences, you see? And if I make this 100, which is what we've got in the settings of the strategy, you see it's got less of those. So that's how we can, create those larger values. So even this setting here can be adjusted in the strategy. So there I put a 200, and that's also going to completely change the look of the indicator on the chart because we've got much higher values. So it all depends on, if you're using a much smaller data series, you can use much larger values on the breakout volume. So I will change this back to 100. And just for interest sakes, you see this is the 100 over here. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add the normal shadow trading indicator. This would be a good time because you guys are very familiar with this indicator. You see I've added the shadow trading indicator and I've just applied it with its default settings. Now you'll notice that some of these dots are lined up to the arrows. So this is the normal shadow trading indicator with the arrows, right? You can see how the divergence, the two indicators on this chart, which is the shadow trading divergence and the shadow trading, you'll see that the shadow trading indicator itself draws the arrows in the squares, whereas the divergence only does the dots. Now you'll see if I change the shadow trading to the look back of 100 to match, you will see now all of those dots are matching to the arrows. You see, so you can see how those two settings are exactly the same. So you might ask, why didn't I just use shadow trading instead of shadow trading divergence? Well, there are reasons for that, and that's because of this bottom section over here. Okay, so that was just a quick comparison of those two indicators. Okay, back to the strategy. So that if you guys want to update your default shadow trading settings, maybe now you know what to adjust when you're looking at your signal charts. Okay, back to this. Where were we? We were exactly at here, the swing sensitivity bar. So that tells you that. Now we've done these values. Okay, great. Breakout volume. So again, I've got very strong descriptions in here. So this is the master switch for the DTB bars breakout volume filter on the DTB bars. When enabled, the strategy will only take long trades when price is trading below or trading above the active breakout center line, and only short trades when price is trading below the active breakout center line. Additional tick range conditions can be applied using the settings below. Okay, good. So what that means is that and I've even got the indicator showing on the chart. So we've put the indicator on the chart, and whenever you are using this indicator, it's going to draw a line on the chart to show you where the current breakout volume line is. Now, that's why I've also put in this option over here. So if you do not want to see the line, you can obviously make this transparent if you don't want to see the line, especially if you're watching a signal chart itself. Because if you've got a signal chart open on another chart, that chart will have the breakout volume line. So you don't also have to have it on the strategy. But for this instance, I'm going to put it on the strategy. So here we go. So the price has to close one tick above the breakout volume marker line to start entering long positions. So that means that the marker has to be left behind for it to take position. So as soon as a marker is being left behind, it will recognize, okay, now we should be in long or short positions depending on which side of the price it is. The indicator itself has got all of these properties, which is time frame 1, time frame 2, and again we've got the descriptions in there. It's got the specific values for these. Okay, so these are basically the specific values that the breakout volume marker is using, and it's the exact same values as what you would see in the indicator. So it's got the time frame up until the minutes. It's even got the reset ticks. So you'll see all of these values over here. If I go into the chart over here and I go to the indicators, you will see that the breakout volume is listed over there. Okay, breakout volume, there's your time frames there. Now you'll see that I might just go template reset. There we go. I think those were the values inside the strategy, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe not. Shit, I shouldn't. We'll check. But those are the values are in there. The time frames, the reset. So those values, if you've got a standalone chart and you want to compare the indicator on the standalone chart to the indicator on the strategy chart, which is what I had to do while I was programming this to make sure that they're both giving the same readings, you can certainly do that. Just got to match up these values to what you have in the strategy. Oh, and while we're looking at that, you'll see there's obviously a description on top over here for the breakout volume indicator, and that gives you information on that. And I've also done that to the shadow trading divergence, you see? So the shadow trading divergence has also got a whole description over here of what exactly this indicator does. Pretty bloody awesome, because this is going to give you full information on the strategy, on the indicator, and how it functions and what you can look out for. So nice and easy to review that also. Okay, and I haven't got descriptions in here because I've got them in the strategy. I could eventually, do the same descriptions in it. Oh, I've got some of them actually. Actually, I do have some of them in here. I remember I do have some of them in here. So it gives you a description of what those values actually do. There, so that's pretty cool. I just wanted to check this breakout volume to make sure we got those settings. So 1, 5, 15, 30, 60, 240. Okay. Back to the strategy. Take away this again. Okay, strategies. So this is a longer video than I anticipated, but I think it's really going to be beneficial for you guys to understand. Okay, so we got over here. Okay, so there's your breakout volume marker, 1, 5, 15, 30. Okay, good. So that's the values over there. Perfect. We're not going to touch any of these filters. These are additional filters. Okay, so these additional filters are for the chart data series. So you'll see over here that these specific ones, okay, are going to use, or this specific one is going to use whatever the data series on the chart. If you want to use a smoothing filter, you can apply it on there. But this is also hot swappable with the buttons. And then you've got minute bars, and then you've also got, this is for the smoothing average for the second button on the chart. It's also got its own data series. So you'll see there's quite a few different data series built in here for different indicators if you want to have a whole combination of them. So it's quite a powerful tool, this. Okay, enable, let's go. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just activate the strategy. I've only got playback, obviously, because it's the market is closed. So I'm going to just activate the strategy, and you'll notice when that comes up, did I activate it? Strategies. Oh, I did. Okay, it's just taking a bit longer to come on. So I've got this one over here. Oh, and also while this is loading, which it's already loaded, but um, while it's loading inside the strategy, file itself, if you look at the top of it, you will see that there is a link over here. It says template details, view document. So if you copy and paste this into a browser, you're actually going to come up with this document here. So I've done a little bit of work on this. I've created a few new templates. So this is template number 1, which is a 210 with break at end of days on. I've got template 2, which is a 5-minute bars with break at end of days on. I've got template 3 with a 5-minute bars with break at end of day on. And that is those are the ones that I have. I'm trying to think. Okay, so yeah, those are the templates that I've currently set up. Now, if I look at this carefully, I'm just trying to see which one I've got set up over here. The 5-minute bars, it's this one over here, template number 3. Okay, template number 3 is that one. I just want to see if I've got 210. Okay, so that's template number 3 that we're looking at over here, and you'll see it's template number 3 because you've actually loaded it. So again, I should have actually done that right. So if we go into the strategy settings, enable, disable, you go template and you go load, you'll see the templates are listed over there, template 1, 2, and 3, and obviously those are the same ones that are listed on over here. Okay, so I'm going to just load this one. So you'll see it says with shadow dots and breakout volume. Okay, so load that, enable, apply, and okay. And you'll see on this chart, I've only got the I've only got a 5-minute bars with 1 day loaded, break at end of day. And it also says that on the document. So I've got a picture there, a screenshot of the data series on the document, as well as a bit of a description of the strategy and what the buttons will look like once you've pressed start. So you'll see there that the start button hasn't been pressed, which means it's not going to take trades. So now I've pressed the start button. It does give you a little bit of a history of the settings if you've got output open, but it doesn't have the latest. It doesn't have the latest conditions in there for the shadow dots or the breakout volume. So I just needed to update that still. Okay, so now you will see on the chart that you've actually got your breakout volume marker. You see this breakout volume marker there, 83.86, that matches the standalone chart. So what will happen now is this strategy, and I'll just zoom up the playback. Okay, so we'll just get this thing to function. Okay, so there's the price going. Now what we're expecting over here is we're only expecting short positions because there's our dots. So I'm going to try have this on the screen a little bit to the side over here, just as a thing. And if you want to do this, just for interest sakes, if you want to have another chart on top of another chart, you can click on the thing and you can go and choose always on top. Where do you do that again? Always on top. So now when you click anywhere else, this chart will still be here. You see, that's pretty cool, right? And then also on this one, you can go properties and you can choose to not have a gap. So you can even just do this. Okay. Now I just want to pause it there for a second. So you'll see there it took a short position. Okay. So I'm going to just go on this chart. I'm going to go data series and I'm going to take away the text and the marker. I'm just going to say do not plot. And I want a little bit of a gap on the right, okay, because it's too close to the end. I want to see a little bit of stuff there. So I'm going to just click on, make it 100, apply, okay. So this is going to give me just the values, you see. We don't need to see the shadow train divergence numbers on this chart because we're not using those values. We're only using the dots. So we're using the dots and we're using the breakout volume marker. Okay, let's go. So now you're going to see that there's a short position. Again, because we've got the dots and the price is below the breakout volume marker. The price is still below the breakout volume marker. So we're still getting short positions. Okay, let's have it. Let's continue watching it. So there we go. Short position, because we're still below the breakout marker and the dots. You see, it's a 40-40 chart, which is exactly what the strategy has built in. And I should actually put more text on top of the chart over here, just to say, you know, what data, what bar size we're using, what indicators we're using. I mean, I can certainly do all of that. And we'll just watch this for a little bit. See how the breakout volume marker now is following the price. That's why there's no trades, because the breakout marker is following the price. There we had a cyan dot, which means the strategy is now only going to look for long positions, but we're waiting for a retracement on this. Now, very quickly, what I'm going to do over here, just for what you can also do in real time, is you are able to click on trend. So if you want to trade, if you want the price to trade trend, which is away from the baseline, you can select that. So watch what happens now. Now, only do that if you're not in a position, right? So only really change the direction of your positions when you're not in a position. So now you'll see, okay, we've got to wait for the breakout volume marker to be left behind. So we'll see that in a moment. See there, it's entered a long position now, you see, because the breakout volume marker is left behind. There's a dot on the screen to say we're only looking for long positions. So you're able to flick it between trend and reverse. So that is pretty cool. So on the fly, you can do that. So if you're in a position, it's a good idea just to pause the strategy, okay? But if you're not in a position, you can just click on that button and it will instantly change it back to, you know, reverse. Reverse is trading back towards the candle. Trend is trading away from the candle. So those are the two descriptors over there. Okay, now so we'll just watch this a little bit longer. So we'll watch some of the trades happen. You'll see they're back to trend. And what we'll do is we will pause it as soon as we see some positions actually enter again. So we're waiting for, you know, the price to be below the start of a candle, and trend would have been good there to keep going for a bit. You see, trend would have been awesome on there also, because we would have had all of these positions, and we would have had positions boom, boom, boom going up there if that breakout volume marker had left behind, which I think it did. So you might even come up with your own values for the breakout volume marker to have those, you know, actually set up correctly. And I just want to check something here. Indicators. I see there's a slight disconnect sometimes with the breakout volume marker. It just might be the calculations, but there you can see it's the same 60. As long as the marker is where it should be. That is a slight disconnect. I wonder if I haven't done anything and just selected. I've definitely selected the right settings. 1, 5, 15, 30, 62, 40, 200. I might just quickly check the settings of the strategy just to make sure I definitely have the right settings in there. 1, 5, 15, 30, 62, 40. Yeah, they are right. Okay, they are the same. Okay, so there you had a short position because the price was below the breakout volume marker. It's now above. You can see the marker is giving the same. The 115 value is the same as this one over here. Sometimes it's very slightly off, but I mean, we're dealing with playback here and, not 100% accurate data. I think we'll see this a lot clearer and more precise when we're on live data. Okay, so now that we can see how this is working, you see it's only entering short positions now because we've got yellow dots. So it's a pretty simple thing, right? Okay, now the next thing I wanted to show you, and this was while we were in a position. So you can see we're in a position now. Say we want to increase our stops. Well, this is where we can increase our stops over here. Oh, I'm looking at our target, so I'm pressing the wrong button. So you can see we've adjusted our tick distances now, our target ticks. Now, if you look at this at the target and the stop buttons, you'll see it's got a plus, 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 and just a value. Okay, so if it's just on T and you press the plus button, you'll see that the target ticks is only going to increment by 1 tick at a time. Okay, you see, and you're obviously not going to notice it much, but you saw it move a little bit. If you click on it one more time, it's going to increment by 10 ticks at a time. Okay, if you press it again, it's going to increment by 50 ticks at a time. Now you can also obviously go and use your slider, so you can definitely use the slider too. So that's something you can use, but sometimes you want to just use this. You might get used to using this as your way of determining your stops and targets without using the sliders. Just nice little buttons to use for the stop ticks and the target ticks. So as you can see, plus, just the one plus is 10 ticks increments, but very cool now being able to reduce your target and your stop. Okay, now a cool thing over here is you're not able to adjust your target by more than the price, you see. So it's never going to allow you to go on the wrong side of the position with your stops and your target. So whenever we have a position open now, it's always going to have at least 1 tick of profit before it exits. So you're not going to have error messages, order management error messages. So that's the only way I could do it, is by making it so that it's always going to, you can't mess up. So if you adjust this, it's not going to give you errors, in other words. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So this is adjusting in real time. Of course, you can adjust your space out entries. Remember the space out entries? If you don't want to use space out entries, you click the account button. And now what will happen is the entries will not be spaced out by that 10 ticks, and they will only enter on the retracement. So you might have multiple orders in one location, which is also great if the price is just, bouncing around a very narrow range. Having a lot of trades in that area, hitting their targets is awesome. Whereas if you've got the space out trades, it's only going to allow 1 trade in that position. Obviously, you've got your trade size. If you want the next trade to be 2 lots in size, the next trade will be 2 lots in size. So that's how that is going to work. I'll let this go a little bit faster to see if another position enters. And then you'll see the next one will be a 2 lot size. Okay, so we're only expecting short positions over here. If I had trend on there, we would have had positions going down while that breakout volume marker was in place. So remember, with this setting, breakout marker has to be left behind before the strategy enters positions. Okay, now what if you do not want to use the breakout volume marker? Okay, here's a little trick. So if you press the shift button, okay, before you press the shift button, you'll see the channel button over here. So it's got channel Keltner on, it's got Bollinger on, Bollinger off. That was, the settings within the strategy to use those Keltner channels and stuff. But if you hold the shift button on your keyboard, so hold the shift button and press this, press and press the channel button, you'll see it's taken it off. So now if you go into the strategy settings, you will see that the I'll go to the bottom. You'll see that the filter is off. Breakout volume DTB bar is off. Okay. So it looks like this when you start, but the thing is on. Now, if you press the shift button again, you will see that it is the volume is activated again. So only the shift button is the one you need to press when you want to activate and deactivate the breakout volume. So you'll see now that the breakout volume will be reactivated again. You see, use breakout volume. So just by using the shift button. So if I just click on this now, it's going to use the breakout volume and the Bollinger and all of that. But if I hold the shift button and click on it, it's going to deactivate it. And then if I don't press the shift button and I just click on the Keltner buttons, this is only going to control the Keltner Bollinger Band. Okay, and then again, if I press the shift button and click on it, it's going to say channel off plus breakout volume. So now we've got the breakout volume as well as the, we've got the breakout volume running and we've got shadow running. Another thing you can do, you might say, well, I don't want any filters whatsoever. So you might be looking at this chart now and you might be thinking, you know what, I want to, depending on what you're seeing on your thing over here, you want to pause. You want to trade trend and you don't want any filters whatsoever. So you click on retrace only on. Now the price is going to trade trend, okay, on a retracement. And you'll see it's going to just trace every single retracement. Now it's going to enter positions. So right now, if you go to your strategy settings, you will notice because you've got this retrace only button selected, none of your filters are going to be active. Okay, not one of them are going to be active. So every single one of them is going to be deactivated. So this is including your breakout volume. I'm still seeing that there. That's a bit odd. Okay, we'll look at that in a second. So that shouldn't have actually been there. Okay, so that so let me look at the rest. So it's there's the shadow trading dots. There's the so that's not selected. The SI indicator is not there. The trend analysis is not there. All of that is not there. But I'm just gonna do a bit of fast playback on here and just see what this does. Okay, so we selected trend. I just want to see if this thing is entering positions. Yeah, so I'm just going to click on the shift button over here and see if I clicked on the shift button to turn it on and off, and you see it's off. It's off now. You see? Yeah, I got to look into that. It's not a big thing. See there, it's off. You see? I just pressed the shift button and I clicked on this button again. So right now, the strategy is only going to enter price on a retracement. So it's going to enter trend trades when the price retraces. So we've got retrace only on. We've got trend. So this really should be going for long positions only. So what is stopping it from entering long positions? I'm going to pop on the reverse and just see what that does. Same bar. Okay, I've got some prints over here, which is saying entry blocked. Okay, so what's happened is we've switched from trend to reverse, and that's why it's blocked those entries. Okay, so that was a thing on that. So now you'll see it's entering trades only on a retracement, no filters used. So you would use this if, for example, you 100% know that you just want to trade back to the start of the candle, you might be looking at another signal chart. You might be saying, well, the price definitely looks like it's going up, so I'm going to deactivate all the filters and, you know, and only have the strategy trading on retrace. And this might be a good time to say too, you know, I only want to take long positions. So you could definitely deactivate the filters if you want trades to enter. If you can see that the price is going to return to the wick, especially if you're on like a trending or a flat baseline, you might say, you know, right now I want to disable the filters. I just want price to enter on retracement. And you can certainly do that by going through what I just did over there. But this button, when you click on it, is supposed to disable the volume also, but for some reason it didn't. It's just a small little coding thing I can look into, but there is a workaround by pressing shift and pressing this button. Now, what if you want to go back to your filters, right? So obviously now you can click on, so we were specifically using the shadow dot. So if you click on this, it's trend analysis, trend following, SI, trend following SI, SI. There's the shadow dot, you see? So you see I clicked on it a few times. So if we go into the strategy now, you will see that the strategy is now using, and it's right near the bottom. So you can go right to the bottom and you can scroll a little bit up, and yeah, you will see the shadow dot. So now the shadow dot is reactivated. So the strategy will only enter when those dots appear on that chart. Where is that chart, by the way? But what the hell is that bullshit? Oh, I know what that bullshit is. I've got this bullshit open. Okay, go back here. So there's that. Okay. So there's that chart. So now you say, okay, well, now I want to activate the breakout volume. So you click on the shift button and you click on the channel button. Now we should be able to go into the strategies and we should see the shadow trading DTB or the shadow dots as well as the breakout volume active. So now we've gone back to those two filters. Without, so there's the breakout volume thing over there, as well as the shadow dots. So we're back to the filters that we used initially to determine the trades. Now look, we're in a position though that is opposite to the filter, and that's because obviously we had it disabled. We disabled the dots before or after we, after that position had entered. So we might even see an exit over here. Let's just see what happens if this exit at a stop, or is it going to exit another way? Let's have a look. And I've got a long only. So I'm going to go back to both directions. We'll fast forward this a little bit. We can see what this one's going to do. I want to see if it exits the position because it realizes it's in the wrong trade. Or is it just going to go hit the stop? Let's see. Okay, just hit the stop. Okay. So now with those two filters back in play, we are going to have, you'll see that even though the button's still red, it doesn't matter too much because as long as it says there shadow DTB and we've got breakout volume, we know that we're back to where we are, and we've even checked the settings on the strategy. Okay, so now we're back in here. And now we should be looking at, it's 10 o'clock, so it's a bit fast. And that's basically how that's going to look. Now, so that is the one template, okay? And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to stop the strategy here. So I'm going to pause this. Remember, you can start and pause the strategy at any time. Also, I'm going to just jump out of here and I'm going to bring up the other template. Okay, so I'm going to go like this. I'm going to go okay. And I'm going to go to the very back of the playback. And I'm going to load up the other template on this thing, right? So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go to template number 1. See, template number 1 with a 210 break at end of day on with one chart. You'll see all of these settings over here. Boom, boom, 210. So if we want to do that, we go into our data series over here and we go DTB bars and we go 210, apply. Okay. So now we're going to have a flat baseline chart. I'm going to go to our strategies. And we are going to go template load, template number 1, load. And enable, apply, obviously choose your account if you're trading in the live markets. And then what will happen is you are going to see okay, so as soon as the strategy loads, if you want to reconfirm the actual settings of your strategy to make sure that you've definitely got it correct, you can compare your settings to this. Now, obviously, I've got to press start. So now you'll see that these settings over here match up to the screenshot. So this is a pretty handy document to have, and it tells you there. So this template trades trend, which is different to what we are used to, predicting baseline breaks, taking trades away from the baseline instead of back towards it. So the normal Modena Wick Trader strategy always took trades in reverse back towards the baseline, but obviously we've got trend settings on now, right? You can see the button says trend on it. This one shows good results on back testing. This is the closest to set and forget I've come up with so far. So this is this is the best template I've come up with in all my testing over the last couple of weeks, working with the strategy. It's not actually the best, because if I look at my Discord chat, you will see over here I was using only look at this. I was using only the retracement on reverse using, what was I using? What was I using over here? Something specifically, I can't remember. Oh man, what was I using? Yeah, I was using only the smoothing average. You see this button on top here? I was only using the smoothing average to determine entries. That's why all of these positions were sell, 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 and they all hit their targets because the price was trending down. But I'm saying it's just for, that's obviously good for a trending market. Okay, so now we are using a few different settings. So if I go to the strategy settings over here, you will see on this specific chart, I have got a 30 target, 200 stop. What else do we have that's different? I'm still using the 40-40 bars over here. I'm using the shadow dot. Okay. What else is being used? I'm using the shadow dot, and I'm using the breakout volume, yes, but I've got different settings. You see, I've got 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11 inside my breakout volume over here. So I've got different settings in there. So if I got in my breakout volume indicator over here, I've got to go over here and I've got to change this one to 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. I hope that's right. That's what it was, right? Shit, I need to get some sleep, man. I can't remember what happened 10 seconds ago when I looked at those values. It was 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. Hey, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. Yes. Okay, and a 200 reset. Perfect. Okay, so where's my chart? Yeah. So now this indicator, you'll see this breakout volume marker is over there. Now we should be able to see how this one trades. Now remember, this is trading trend, so it's trading away from the baseline. So it's entering short positions over here. So we'll just let this run. I'm putting it on max playback. As you can see, it's supposed to be a lot faster. So this one's going to enter short positions because you can see the last dot is over there. So short positions, and going for the targets. There's the breakout volume marker left behind at this value over here, which is matching, this value over here. So that's why we're only seeing short positions on here. There's its trades predicting that baseline break. Okay, so that worked out nicely. It only entered when the price was left behind after the breakout volume marker. There it's entering short positions because the breakout volume marker is still on top. Now the volume breakout marker is traveling with the price, which is happening on the signal chart. So sometimes, as you know, the breakout volume marker will trail the price until it finds its position. And when it finds its position, then it will stay in place, and then the signals will start entering. Okay, so there is a dot. Okay, now you'll see we were on trend over there. So that's why we never had any positions going back towards the baseline, because we are trading trend entries. But if this price shoots up, it's going to enter long position. So there we had the breakout volume marker left behind. You can see the markers left behind. Now it's entering long positions. So as you can see, as you've known for a while, that the breakout volume marker is pretty bloody powerful, because it's quite accurate in determining, where the movements from those prices. And using the dots of the shadow trading, I think we've got such a winner over here. Just with these two indicators alone, we might have to adjust the look back period, or we might have to adjust the actual bar size. Maybe a 40-40 is not the best. I don't know. So this is why it's a good idea to play around with this tool, because you're going to be able to, adjust the bar sizes, adjust the look back period, even have different values for the breakout volume marker. You might not even use all of those time frames, because there's 6 time frames in there. You might use 3 of them and come up with incredible settings. I think there's so much room for opportunity with this strategy. You might even choose the overall smoothing average for the whole chart, which won't work very well on this type of chart, but it might work fine on a DTB, but on a 5-minute chart as an example, right? Just like it showed over here. Because then, if you had to select, like this screenshot shows over here, if you had to select smoothing average on this chart, okay, oh, bugger. If you had to select smoothing average on here like this, you see, you click on it. Now it'll only enter positions based on the smoothing average active. So I'm going to tick on it again because we haven't selected it in this setting. But that might work on a 5-minute chart. So you could have that as your overall filter, while you are looking at that. Now, so this, and again, if you want to use a 5-minute filter as an overall, the smoothing average button 2, this is the button that's got the inbuilt data series. So you can choose a DTB bars, or you can choose a minute bars for the inbuilt data series, whereas this one over here is the chart data series. So that's why you got 2 smoothing average buttons on here. Shit, I hope it's not too complicated for you guys. But, at the end of the day, if we can just come up with some really good templates for this, I think we're going to be able to see extremely, extremely positive results from this. And we're going to kick ass with the strategy. I mean, I really believe that this strategy is the absolute go-to for consistency and an incredible managed approach to run a strategy. So we're going to kick ass with this. I know it. I love the strategy. I've always loved this strategy. This was the very first strategy that I launched when I launched this business, like to the public 4 or 5 years ago. And we were trading on the trending baseline. We haven't even looked at the trending baseline yet. But, this strategy has been around since the very beginning. It got a lot of people excited. Not many people really got into understand how it works. It definitely didn't have all the features that it has today. But, the right people who see this, it's just going to click for them, and it's going to be absolutely beautiful. Of course, if you're looking at your chart and you don't want to see all the text and markers, you can just put markers only. That's fine to do. It's less busy. And stuff, when you're looking at charts like this and you got your signal charts, you can choose your direction also. So, you're looking at this baseline over here and you can say, you know what, I only want to have long positions, or I only want to have short positions. So, you could be looking at a signal chart, and it could be a different signal chart also. I mean, you might have another signal chart in play over here, and this one might be the show me the money template, right? So you might have the signal chart combo 5, show me the money, and you might have it on a 2020 as an example. So we'll switch it on because that's what the settings were set up on here. Actually, we can leave it on a 40. That's fine. It's not a train smash. So you could be looking at this, right? You could be looking at this chart, and everything's showing us over here. I mean, there's a few different breakout volume markers on this chart as an example. So you might at this stage decide, well, you know what? Because of what the price looks like it's doing over here, I'm actually going to pause the strategy. Where the hell is my chart? It was supposed to stay on top. Do I have to do it for every chart? Really? Dumbass thing. I do have to do it. So now you can say, you know what? I want the price to trade reverse. I want to trade this price back towards the baseline. Okay, so now we'll see trades going back towards the baseline. Now that might not have been the best option over there at that stage. So you can say, oh, okay, I'm gonna pause the strategy. So you see there, I clicked on the start button. It says pause, no new positions. So this is basically putting the strategy in limbo now, and you deciding, okay, well, what do I want to do next? Do I want the strategy to enter back towards the baseline? Do I want the strategy to trade as if to predict a baseline break? Okay, well, that definitely, even back there, we could see that the gold bars were forming. We could have selected trend and get the strategy to start trading. So in real time, as you are watching this, you're able to make decisions on, what you believe the price can also do. And the good thing about having a chart like this is you're not stuffing around trying to learn chart analysis or candlestick analysis and chart patterns and dojis and head and shoulders and hammerheads and kids playing in sandpits. That's basically what it's like when you are trying to stuff around with minute bars. You've got a bar over here where for absolute certainty the price is either going to return to the baseline or it's going to form a new baseline. There's nothing else it can do. You don't need to go learn hundreds and hundreds of chart patterns or look at where different candles open and close. One's higher than the other or lower than the other, whatever crap. You've got a very clear setup over here which tells you where the baselines are and where the price where the price is going to go next. We know for an absolute fact and certainty the price is either going to go form a new baseline or return to the baseline. That's the only thing it can do. And these breakout volume markers, these different signal charts that we have are a great way to be able to see what the price is doing. So there I've activated the strategy again. I've got it on trend. So you see I've activated the strategy and I've got it on trend. I just want to see what my prints are telling me in case there is no, okay, that's all good. Okay, so now the strategy is going to be entering positions, but the breakout volume marker is following the price. So that's not going to, be entering positions anytime right now because the price was following the breakout volume marker, basically. But remember, at any time we can disable that breakout volume marker, right? So yeah, so this is the cool thing we can do. So I really hope this video helped you guys understand the strategy better, and I hope you guys can come up with some really fantastic templates for it. So I look forward to seeing what you guys can make of this. Okay guys, have a fantastic one, and enjoy your Christmas and your the festive season, and we will be in touch soon. Okay, thanks guys. Cheers.